Hi everyone, this is Michael Sloyer and I am here with Hari Prasada today, and we are talking about something that is near and dear to both of our hearts, I think, and that is the concept of ego. So Hari, I would love to hear from your own mouth what ego means to you and why it's so important.
Yeah, so the ego is something that we have deeply studied ever since the time that we were monks, actually, living in a Manhattan monastery. And what realization came then was that if we want to be our best self, if we want to be who we truly are and fulfill our fullest potential, then we have to see what's getting in the way. What's stopping me? And what's stopping me is the ego. We define the ego as an identity that we're attached to, of who we think we should be. Not who we are, but who we think we should be. Somehow, we've all got this conception that, oh yeah, if I show up like this, that'll be attractive. If I lean in this direction, that would be really cool. If I'm more like this, that would be stately. Like, that's ego. All of these different notions of who we think we should be, every one of them, and there are countless varieties, that's preventing us from being who we are.
And so how can we tell the difference? I think this is something that I struggle with so much. Like, I'm not really sure who I even am.
Yeah, this is a real problem. I know it very well myself. So the thing is, there's all this white noise that comes from the external world. We're constantly getting these inputs that are corrupting the system. They're telling us we should be more like this, we should be more like that, we should be more like this. Don't you like feedback? We all need feedback, right? So we're constantly looking for and getting feedback that is tainting what is the actual experience of being who we are. And it's not to say that we should throw out all that feedback or all those inputs, but it's difficult to wade through it all. We need a starting point, which is to find, what is it that I actually value? What is it that happens when I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody, when I'm not expecting or deserving or trying to affect a situation according to my conditioning, according to my own patterns, but really being able to see what are the patterns, what are the conditionings, where do they arise from, and keep asking why, what's behind that, till we peel off the layers and we see, is there something beneath it that really matters to me?
Wow. So I'm seeing as you're talking that what I value is often what other people value. and I also see it a lot with the people that I've worked with over the years that, we kind of try to see what does this person think of me, and let me just go be that. And so is that my ego talking there?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're not alone in that. I mean, that is totally my experience. And it's only after really examining my motives, and it's very confronting. It's not like fun and games, but it's so rewarding to actually live an examined life where I know why I do what I do, and if I can actually say, I did that from me, it's so powerful. Like, how many of us can say that about the decisions that we make when we've truly, truly done our homework and put ourselves under our own scanner?
And so what would homework actually look like in this case?
Yeah. So again, it comes back to asking the right questions and determining what's the why behind things. Really studying and even experimenting with, what if I did something different? So my ego is telling me that, for example, I need to show up as different from everybody else because I don't want to blend in with the pack. That's boring, that's uninteresting, that's not cool, and it's not who I am. So what if I were to decide not to distinguish myself in any way, but to trust that I am distinct? what would happen?
I see. So your ego might be telling you that you need to be authentic. So if you were to able to take a step back from that, in my case, my ego is telling me that I need to be valuable to other people. So if I could not need to see my own value from other people's perspective, but just experience it inherently from the inside, that might be the first step towards having my ego at least quiet its voice and eventually maybe dissolve.
That's great. And if you have the right people in your life, the right mirrors, the people who give validation for not who we think we should be, but for who we are, or at least get very close to that, people who are striving on that same path with that same noble mission to just be ourselves, free of all the masks, then we can learn so much. They may be able to see things in us that we can't see. It's just like you have a talent manager who sees potential that person can't see and encourages it and fans the flames. We all need those kinds of coaches and leaders on our side.
When you're talking, I'm experiencing this concept of unconditional love here, that people will love us regardless of any mask that we wear. In fact, they actually love us in the highest authentic way when we're not wearing our masks.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Ultimately, that's what it all comes down to. I mean, it's not necessarily popular to talk about love, 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 or maybe it's too popular and it's cliched, but it depends on the setting. In the workplace, we definitely don't go there. But at the end of the day, we all know that there's nothing more valuable, more meaningful. I've never had anybody confront me on this than love. And the question is, what is that love? And as you said, it's something unconditional. It's where you feel truly seen. And that can happen actually in the workplace, and it needs to happen in the workplace. The workplace is devoid of that. That's the problem. That's why there's so much disturbance, dissatisfaction, turnover, restlessness, and pollution of our world in so many varieties of forms, is because we all need to do something for a livelihood, and we all need a sense of contribution, but there's no real connection or love in that experience, and we're starving for it deep down. We don't go there, but we're starving for it. And you said something that's very poignant, that if somebody can love me without my mask on, that's huge. And that encourages me. It gives me courage to be able to take the mask off. And what's beneath the mask, and this could also be a good starting point in terms of how do we get past the ego, or how do we know what is beyond the ego. Start with what's behind the mask. What is it that I'm trying to hide? What is it that makes me feel vulnerable, that makes me feel insecure, that makes me feel like that's not acceptable to the outside world, or only people who are really intimate with me get to see that, or I don't even admit it to myself because I can be tough, I can be really skilled, and I can be excellent, and I don't need to go there. Find out what's there that we're casting aside, that we're not going into. That's probably more real than the stuff that covers over it.
Wow. Yeah, I spent a lot of years on a trading floor at an investment bank, and there was just so much suffering because of all this mask wearing. Like, it was very difficult to have a real conversation, and it was actually hard to identify at the time, but me, myself included, and so many others were just wearing these masks and pretending to be like magnified versions of ourselves in the hopes that we would get some gold at the end of the rainbow. But really, it was just our attempts to not deal with what was on the inside.
That's powerful. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, in the interest of that, I just need to name right now that I'm probably wearing a little bit of a mask here. We have a camera in front of us. But the way I experience you when you're talking about this subject was such passion that I actually feel that you have removed your mask here. And I really appreciate the insights that you've shared.
You're very, very sweet. Thank you. It means a lot to me. And I am honored to be with you.
Thank you, Hari Prasada.
Thank you.